Can we welcome to the Potter's House pre-show, Dr. Smith? How you doing today, Queen?
I'm doing good. Good morning. Thank you guys so much for having me. Y'all were blessing me.
Listen, you was blessing us behind the scenes. We couldn't even get the cameras and everything working. She was speaking so much life. She's so full of the Spirit of God. She's so full of wisdom, and we're definitely going to be blessed by what she has to say. I'm so excited to dig in this.
Man.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we are excited about is that we get a chance to serve, in my opinion, the greatest leader that God ever placed on this planet, in Bishop T.D. Jakes. So big shout out to Bishop Jakes, number one.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Bishop.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Bishop. And number two,
First Lady.
We do know that it is IDD awareness. Can you kind of tell us what that means? Go ahead.
We've been celebrating this month IDD Awareness and Appreciation, which stands for Intellectual or Developmental Disability Awareness and Appreciation Month. And we have had a grand month so far. Still lots more to come, but we've had a great time this month.
Okay, so go ahead, Thad. I know you had a question. I know Thad is he's still gleaning from the word that was dropped over his life. But
she's we're gonna dig into this as well, because Dr. Demetrice Smith is not new to the Potter's House. She's not somebody we found off the street or some type of YouTube phenomenon. She's right here, a Potter's House member. She's on the staff of the Potter's House. She's been with the church. She's gonna let us know how long you've been with the church and what your natural function is. As a matter of fact, Cory, is it okay if we jump into that right now?
Man, let's go, man.
How long have you been with us, Dr. Smith?
I have been a member of the Potter's House 21 years.
Wow.
So I feel like I have grown and matured and, experienced all the things that were leading to purpose right here under Bishop Jakes and First Lady Jakes. And so it doesn't feel like 21 years, but it's been 21 committed years, and I'm thankful for that.
Now, how did it start? Did you always start off in the position of, where you're at right now? Or did it, throughout the years, did Bishop see something in you? Did somebody say something? Did you have to fill out another form to try and, express the other things that you can do and talk about? Or how did that work out?
It's interesting that you asked me, did I start off as kind of where I am? And where I am is really a servant. And so the answer to that is I've always been a servant. I've always had a heart for advocating and serving. And so when I came into this position, I want to say it was by accident, but it really wasn't. It was more fortuitous than anything. I have been a part of a family where I had 4 special needs aunts. And it was just my life growing up serving my aunts, born with cerebral palsy and autism, 3 are blind. And so it's just been my life doing so. And I didn't think it was that big of a deal. It's just who I've been, behaving as, just a servant in my family. And so when this position came available, I just got a promotion at work. And so when I told my husband I was leaving my job, I told my boss I was leaving, nobody understood it. But I knew I heard the Lord, and he said it was time to come into this position so that I could really make a difference. In the last 4 years, I have been so blessed by being able to serve this wonderful community of all kinds, all ages, all dispositions, all cognitive levels of people, and working very closely with First Lady because this is her heart. It has been an amazing journey to take her vision and then began to put walls and floors and windows and doors around all of the things that she's been wanting to do in this very, very special community.
Dr. Smith, I think that is so beautiful how, like you said before, you were just serving and you were just doing this, that, and the third for your aunts and different family members. It's amazing to me, Cory, how God trains us behind the scenes. We never really see or never really pick up expressly what God is doing for our future. But it's funny how he tests us or cultivates us in our past. He cultivates us in our youth and just does different things. And then when we're ready for it, he reveals the plan that he's already had. He reveals that position that he's already had. He'll connect you with those people that you need to be connected with to do just what you're doing, serving.
It's a destiny moment. A destiny moment.
It's
destiny
powerful.
moment.
You know, it's funny. It's funny. Behind the scenes, we were having a conversation about David, and it makes sense why we were talking about David, because David obviously was assigned some sheep. His brothers called it few sheep, but those few sheep, because he was faithful over those few sheep, God made him a shepherd in the kingdom. What Dr. Smith was basically saying is God allowed her to be born into a family that had, you know, some issues that she would ultimately operate in ministry. And I think that cultivated a different compassion. It cultivated a different understanding. It cultivated a different joy to work in with these particular individuals. I do have a question for you, Dr. Smith.
Yes.
Since you have been in this position, since you have been using your gift to cultivate these wonderful, special people, my question for you is, what have you learned that we don't know? Can you tell us something that we need to know about people that have IDD?
You know, I'm so glad you asked me that, because one of the things I've learned and have been really talking about lately is, and even looking at my journey with my aunts growing up, is that, you know, we've got to move from merely just being an inclusive community to being an engaged community. And the difference is, inclusion is when we throw a party and we invite those with some disability to come to the party. But we've moved beyond inclusion to engagement. We don't even throw the party until we build the parameters and the operations and the sound system and the, you know, entertainment around the special considerations. So we've moved from just inviting you to our party to throwing you your own party. And that's where I think I've learned over the years, is to take what I've seen and what I've done and now take that foundation and build new foundations. And I was mentioning to First Lady before, we've stopped knocking on doors. We just point at a wall and we cut a hole in the wall, because we're no longer waiting on people to open doors. We are pointing at walls and creating entrances to places that that we weren't even allowed into before. I've learned to stop asking, can we come in, and just go to the door, cut the hole, and say, this is what we need.
You seem to have a lot of passion about this particular subject. Can you tell the world, can you tell the congregation, can you tell those watching, why are you so passionate about this particular subject?
I'm passionate about this subject because I'm not talking about something that I've read. I'm talking about a community that I am. I was born and diagnosed as mentally retarded. I didn't speak my first word until I was 8 years old, because I was born without my hearing. And so I know what it's like to be overlooked and for somebody to spell out what your limitations are. And at 8 years old, I had an exploratory surgery that gave me hearing in my right ear. I have no eardrum in my left. I spend a lot of time reading lips, but nobody knows your limitation unless you let them make your limitation a factor. We've all got a limitation, but nobody knows it unless you allow it to become a defining factor. So how do I have the nerve to finish high school at 16, to finish college 3 years later, to finish my master's program with a 4.0, and I have the nerve to think I'm educated enough to become a doctor, but it's not about what I was told I couldn't do, it was about what I was purposed to do. And so no matter how old your loved one is, they can do more. They can do more. And they've got to be challenged to do more. And sometimes we don't realize that.
Dr. Smith, I'm sorry, man. I cannot let you go past this. So, because you said something, and I'm still processing what you just said. So are you suggesting that oftentimes people will see our limitations, but we have to give them the liberty to allow them to limit us by our limitations? Absolutely.
We give people permission to allow our limitations to be limiting. If I don't give you permission to limit who I can be, you have no room to do that.
Okay, and then the second thing you said, you know, because I've got a family member that is 36 years old, but cognitively, I think they're probably like 10. And oftentimes society will put these limitations on you. And other people begin to believe that you can only do this, or you can only go this far, or you can only reach this academic level. But was it something in you that told you, regardless of what other people are telling me that I can do, I believe that in spite of being deaf in one ear, in spite of being born a certain way, was it something in you that was like, listen, I can do greater? That's the first question. And the second question is, what environment did you have to get in to cultivate that inner I can do greater in spite of what everybody else was saying?
It was my last summer at Camp Seroptimus. I was 7 years old and I was sitting on a bench. And in the cabin I was in, there was someone that was considered mentally retarded, but they had autism. There was someone that had Down syndrome and cerebral palsy. And then there was me, the other person diagnosed as mentally retarded. I sat on the bench the last day at camp and I said, I'm never coming back here again. I remember my thoughts. I remember how I felt. I was inside a bubble. I had no sound. I had no speech, but I knew that I was supposed to do something different. And of course, you know, we were on the elevator for my annual hearing test. The doctor got on the wrong elevator. A few months later, did this exploratory surgery. I woke up out of, you know, the anesthesia, speaking the Lord's Prayer, had never spoken before. But see, here's the thing. People don't limit themselves because they don't know. Usually it's families that limit the accomplishments of individuals because they think they can only go so far. And sometimes families allow people to get stagnant because it makes the family comfortable. If we keep her here, we keep her this way, we can deal with it. But when you allow a person to grow, just like a moth turning into a butterfly, there's a struggle. And it causes a struggle in the family. But once you let them come out of it, you'll realize they can be so much more. So it's not the person limiting themselves because they don't always know. It's those around them that limit them.